Level 1, the recruit. Careers office, a Tuesday. The recruiter is asking the standard questions and you're giving the standard answers. There's a poster on the wall, a Royal Marine in full kit against a gray sky. It looks like the hardest thing a person could do. You think you know what you're signing up for. You don't. 32 weeks, Commando Training Center, Royal Marines, Lympstone, Devon. Week 1, you don't know where anything is. You run everywhere. If you walk, someone corrects you. If you're slow, someone corrects you. If you're on time, you're late. The physical training starts immediately and does not stop. Press-ups, pull-ups, runs, circuits, loaded marches. The instructors are not cruel, that's the wrong word. They're precise. They know exactly how much a man can take, and they stay just past that line. By week 4, you know who's going to make it. By week 8, some of those men are gone. Dartmoor in January, 9 miles, waist-deep peat bogs in the dark. The endurance course is 6 miles of tunnels, wading pools, and rope obstacles before a 4-mile run in full kit, rifle in hand. Then the shooting test. Your hands are shaking. You shoot clean. The 30-miler is the last thing. 30 miles across Dartmoor in under 8 hours carrying 32 pounds plus weapon. It is not a race. It is a fact-finding mission about what you are. You finish. They give you the green beret. You think you've arrived somewhere. You have. Just not where you think. Level 2, the Commando. 40 Commando, Taunton. You share a room with 3 other men, and none of you complain about it. The work is real. Patrols, exercises, live fire, pre-deployment training. You go to Belize, you go to Norway, you do a 6-month deployment, and you come back and you do another one. Your body learns things your mind never had to decide. How to move in the dark, how to stay calm when calm is the only useful thing. The job asks something of you every day, and every day you give it. Your knees start hurting at 23. You don't mention it. There's a corporal in your troop, 8 years in, who went for SBS selection and didn't pass. He doesn't talk about it. When someone else brings it up, he says something short and changes the subject. You watch him for a while after that, trying to work out what it cost him. You can't. You put in for the Special Forces briefing course. It's not a decision exactly. It's more like something you've been moving toward without admitting it. The Green Beret is real. The deployments are real. But somewhere in the last 2 years, you've understood that this, the Commando, the postings, the 6-month rotations, is not where you stop. You don't know yet what stopping means here. You'll find out. Level 3, the Candidate. The Special Forces briefing course first. 4 days, Poole. They assess your fitness, your aptitude, your psychological profile. They're not trying to break you, not yet. They're deciding if you're worth breaking later. You pass, you're in for selection. UKSF Selection runs out of Hereford. SAS and SBS candidates go through it together. Nobody cares which unit you want. That's a problem for later. Right now the problem is the Brecon Beacons in October and a Bergen on your back that gets heavier every week. Hills phase. 6 weeks. You navigate alone. No partner, no team. A series of timed marches across the beacons with a 55-pound Bergen plus weapon. The distances and times are not published. You find out at the start of each march. You either make the cutoff or you don't. If you don't, you're gone. No appeal, no second attempt that year. Fan dance. Penknife fan in both directions. 24 kilometers. The weather doesn't negotiate. Long drag. 64 kilometers. 20 hours. Still alone. Your left heel opens up at kilometer 40. You don't stop. Men drop every week. Some quit. Some get injured. Some simply don't make the time. Good men. Men with a green beret and 2 deployments and 3 years of proof behind them. Gone. You make every cutoff. Continuation training follows. Jungle phase in Belize. Combat survival. Tactical questioning. Resistance to interrogation. 24 hours of it, which you are not allowed to describe afterward and won't. Then the SBS specific cadre. Maritime. Diving. Swimmer canoeist training. A separate world. You pass. You're in. You're 26 years old and you have no idea what you just walked into. Level 4, the swimmer canoeist. Poole. Dorset. A base that doesn't look like what it is. You are SC1. Swimmer canoeist grade 1. The entry qualification for the SBS, which took you 7 years to reach. Royal Marines, Commando unit, 2 deployments, selection, SC training. and which entitles you to be the least experienced person in every room you walk into. The men around you have been here a long time. They don't perform it. They don't need to. You can tell by the way they move through a briefing, the way they ask one question where someone else would ask 5. You file that away. You watch more than you speak. The work is maritime. That's the difference. The thing that makes SBS what it is, rather than what SAS is. Closed circuit rebreathers. No bubbles. Nothing on the surface. You approach a vessel in pitch black, 3 meters under, navigating by compass and time. You place the charge. You leave. The ship doesn't know you were ever there, in training anyway. You deploy at 26. You come back at 26. The operation has a classification and a file reference, and your name is in it, and none of that will ever appear anywhere public. Your dad asks at Christmas what you've been up to. You tell him you can't really say. He nods. He thinks he understands what that means. He doesn't. Level 5, the operator. You've been on 6 deployments. You've stopped counting them the way you used to. The first one you remember in detail, the insertion, the target, the extraction, the debrief, the feeling afterward. By the 4th one, you remember the outcome and not much else. By the 6th, you remember the specific problem that needed solving and the solution. And that's it. The rest compresses. The fear compresses. The intensity compresses. You don't know if that's experience or erosion, and you don't spend time on the question. Your body is 30 years old and feels older in specific places. Both shoulders. The right knee since Norway. Tinnitus in the left ear from a breech op in 2019 that you cannot discuss. You don't mention any of it at medical because you know what mentioning it costs. Gulf of Aden, 2021. A cargo vessel out of Mombasa, taken 90 miles off the Somali coast. 4 hostages, 1 British national. The intelligence window is tight, and the decision comes fast and you go. The insertion is clean. The approach is clean. You move through the lower decks in the dark, and you're very good at this, and everything is going the way it's supposed to go until the 3rd compartment, and then it isn't. Robbie takes a round through the neck. He's 28. He has a daughter named Freya, who is 14 months old and has never slept through the night. You know this because he told you on the flight out, the way men talk before an op, quietly about nothing important. You apply the tourniquet that he packed for someone else. It doesn't matter. He's gone in 4 minutes. You find the British national in the forward hold. He's been dead for 6 hours. You finish the extraction. You get back on the boat. Nobody says much. Robbie's body comes home to RAF Bryce Norton 4 days later. You're there on the tarmac. Freya's in someone's arms. She's too young to know what the box means. You go back to Poole. You do the debrief. You write your section of the report. Then you go home. You sit in the kitchen and you don't move for a long time. Tom got pulled from rotation in March. Ligaments. He's been in Poole doing admin for 4 months, and it's killing him in a way that a deployment never did. You watch him at lunch sometimes. You used to think you understood that. You're not sure you do anymore. Sarah asks you once, not angrily, just quietly at the kitchen table on a Sunday, how long you're going to keep doing this. You say, a bit longer. She nods. She refills her coffee. She doesn't ask again. Level 6, the troop sergeant. You're 34. Men come to you now. New SC ones, just through the cadre. Moving the way you moved at 26. Careful, watching, not speaking until they're sure. You remember that. The calculation of every room. You don't tell them to relax because relaxing isn't the point. The point is that in 2 years, they'll stop calculating and start knowing. And you can't explain the difference. They have to accumulate it. You run the troop through pre-deployment training. You write the orders. You stand in the briefing room in front of men who are better at specific things than you are, and you give them the plan, and they trust it because you've earned that. The operations are more complex now, more variables, more coordination with other units, UKSF, intelligence elements, sometimes liaison with allied forces whose names don't appear in the orders. You move more pieces. You carry more. Jake is 27, reminds you of someone, moves well, thinks fast, doesn't waste words. You watch him without saying so. You know what he is because you were the it. You've missed 11 Christmases. Your daughter Mia is 9. She knows you're in the military and that you can't talk about it, and she accepts this the way children accept the permanent facts of their lives, completely without drama, which is its own kind of weight. She drew a picture of you once, you and Kit, her next to you. You're both the same height in the drawing. You kept it. It's in your locker at Poole. Level 7, the warrant officer. You're 39. There are 200 men in this unit, and you've served alongside most of them at some point, and you've been to the funerals of 4 of them: Stevie in 2014, Dan in 2017. 2 more whose names don't appear here because the operations they died on don't appear anywhere. You were at both services. You wore your uniform. You said what needed to be said to the families, and then you went back to Poole, and you kept going because that's what kept going means in this job. Your right knee went properly at 37. Surgery at Derriford. 6 months of physio. You came back. The left shoulder is managed now. Cortisone. Specific movements you avoid. A way of sleeping you've adjusted to without noticing you adjusted. You plan operations now more than you run them. That's the shift. You're in the room where the picture is largest and the details are fewest, and you have to trust the men on the ground with the details because you trained them and you know what they're capable of. And that trust is real, but it is also the hardest thing you've ever done. Jake is a troop sergeant. You watch him run a briefing and you don't say anything afterward because there's nothing to say. Sarah and you separated in 2021. Not dramatically, not with a single reason. The marriage just became something that existed in the gaps between deployments, and eventually the gaps closed and what was left wasn't enough. Mia is 14. She lives in Exeter with Sarah. You drive up when you can. She's polite. She's kind. She's a stranger to you in the specific way that people become strangers when you've missed the years that made them. You love her completely. That's not in question. You just don't know her. Level 8, the commander. You're 44. You run a squadron. The decisions you make don't have right answers. Not the way a navigation problem has a right answer. Not the way a breach has a right answer. You send men into situations, and you've calculated the risk, and the calculation is sound, and sometimes it still goes wrong, and you carry that. You brief senior officers. You sit in rooms at Northwood and Vauxhall Cross, and you represent the capability of 50 men to people who need to understand it without understanding it the way you do. You translate. You've gotten good at it. You hate it slightly less than you used to. The unit is the same and completely different. The men are younger. The kid is better. The threat picture has shifted. Less conventional, more diffuse, more maritime interdiction, more things that aren't called what they are in the orders. The work is real. It always was. It still is. Your body operates on a list of managed conditions now. The knee, the shoulder, the tinnitus, a back problem that started at 41 and which you described to the MO as occasional, and which is not occasional. You run 5 miles 3 times a week because stopping would mean something you're not ready for it to mean. Mia is 19. She's at Exeter University. She calls you on Sundays sometimes, not every Sunday, but enough. The calls last 20 minutes. You ask about her course. She asks about your week. You tell her it was fine. She doesn't ask what that means. She grew up knowing not to. Somewhere in a careers office right now, a 19-year-old is filling out a form. Exeter, maybe, or Bristol, or Glasgow. The recruiter is asking the standard questions. The kid is giving the standard answers. There's a poster on the wall, a Royal Marine in full kit against a gray sky. It looks like the hardest thing a person could do. The kid thinks he knows what he's signing up for. He doesn't know about Lympstone. He doesn't know about the green beret that becomes the floor. He doesn't know about the Brecon Beacons alone in October with a 55-pound Bergen, or the water in the dark, or the base in Poole, or the operations that don't have names, or the funerals, or the Sunday phone calls that last 20 minutes and never say what they actually mean. He thinks he's seen the ceiling. He hasn't found the door yet. He'll sign the form. He'll go to Lympstone. He'll find the door, and then the next one, and then the next one. He'll become someone he cannot currently imagine, and he'll pay prices he cannot currently calculate. He'll learn. They always do.